And love is a thing that can never go wrong. And I am Marie of Roumaniaa, the American humorist Dorothy Parker satirically quipped in the Roaring Twenties, when the glamorous sovereign, one of Queen Victoria's multitudinous grandchildren, was the most famous royal on the planet. The instant recognition of Marie's name and her reputation as the victim of an unhappy arranged marriage have become lost to subsequent generations. But her rocky nuptial road mirrors that of countless royal spouses. Naturally, their ancient and venerated families expected these unions to be glorious, conferring additional distinction or fame upon their respective dynasties, not to mention glorious as in magnificent and grand. But all too often, the opposite occurred, and the royal marriages that began with such high hopes for the couple and the kingdom became inglorious, bringing shame and dishonor to one or both partners. Their marriages, and by extension their families, were instead disgraced by scandal and reduced to ignominy. Some of the unions profiled in this book were viewed at the time as inglorious because traditional gender roles were reversed, with wives assuming the reins of power, or because they failed to fulfill their primary contractual duty by remaining childless for years. Or both. Because these royal unions were intended to be political and dynastic strategic alliances, nearly all of them were arranged, even through the Victorian era and beyond. No one expected the spouses to be in love, or even to love each other, and yet their families and friends would always act surprised when the man and wife barely got along and the marriage failed. A much-anticipated, glorious life of glamour, wealth, and power was doomed or destroyed, not only by such connubial disasters as adultery or infertility, but by the banalities of real life and the natural emotional reactions to marital neglect. The only reason so many of these unions lasted was because divorce was invariably unthinkable or legally unattainable. The rare royal divorces brought scandal and disgrace on the entire dynasty. As Tsar Nicholas II opined at the end of the 19th century, when two of his first cousins horrified the family by calling it a day, the death of a dear loved one would have been preferable to a divorce. One wonders whether Nicholas might have felt differently had he been trapped in a miserable union, instead of having the good fortune of wedding his one true love. Every royal marriage in this volume makes the hit parade of history's myriad mismatches. And as much as it's true that some marriages were more terrible than others, it's hardly surprising that there were so many bad ones. Several of the girls were only in their mid-teens when their parents sacrificed them on the altar of matrimony to grooms who were total strangers, barely older than their brides. For centuries, this practice was not considered unusual. Even nowadays, some couples do wed in their late teens, but they usually know each other before they get hitched. And being commoners, their responsibilities scarcely compare to those of young royals of centuries past.